Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Ranger Games. This is our fourth show already, and I want to introduce my two co-hosts.
I'm Joel.
Jim.
And we have a special guest, Micah, with us tonight.
And we're so excited.
And talk slow, he's a Marine.
Hey guys, let me
Hasn't even been a minute, I told you.
Right, hasn't even been a minute. You know what?
Just because we, like the crayons. Seriously?
Oh my gosh, this is going to be a fun-filled show tonight. If you are a veteran, if you are related to a veteran, if you are even remotely, if you know a veteran, if you are a civilian, you're going to want to join us tonight because you're going to get to hear real conversation with three gentlemen that have a lot to say. So tonight...
Me of being a gentleman.
Yeah, I work for a living.
Okay, so this is going to be awesome. So let's get started real fast. I want to get to
that.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get started real fast. So complete this sentence.
Hey, Tony, before we start, can I change something up on us real quick?
Yeah.
For our producer, there's a button on one of your screens that's titled the National Anthem. Can you click that, please?
Ooh.
Select. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in the National Anthem, and we had to throw that in there.
You know, just to add in there, Brother Joel, during Backwoods Brothers if you are familiar with our show, during Backwoods Brothers last year when Biden's pullout of the troops in Afghanistan happened, there were 13 fallen soldiers, and so what is representative up above my head are those 13 bottles that commemorate their memories and their lives. And so if you have a chance to watch that show, that's where we did an extended honoring of all 13, and so it was very impactful for me as a civilian. I have not had military service, so just to be in that experience was amazing. So I have, to start out with, finish this sentence, guys. The three most memorable moments in the military were. Start with Jim.
Most memorable. Let's see. One of my father's classmates, not classmates, but fraternal buddies, recipient of the Silver Star in Vietnam, and my father attended my commissioning service when I was commissioned as an officer in the United States Army. That was pretty good to start things off my military career.
Two more.
I'll let everyone else do one.
Okay.
That's all right. Trying to think of the other two.
Right.
I know it's pretty adolescent and it goes back, and everybody's going to give me a hard time, but boot camp. Some pull out the Full Metal Jacket card, and some come up with their own experiences, and it's individual, but yet it's set, it's routine, and it is what it is, and that's what I was expecting when I got there. Unfortunately, some may not knew that they were getting themselves into when they got into a certain branch, but
journalism, like the movie.
But yeah, that was actually pretty that was actually, for me, one of the reasons why my growing up and my experiences as a child, that was actually why I chose the Marine Corps. So.
Nice.
I was going to say boot camp, but he stole mine, so I can't
There
use
you
that
go.
one.
Go to number
So
2.
I think the next one would be the minute that I stepped off the plane in Afghanistan. It became like, oh, this shit's real. I'm actually in a foreign country, in a war zone, and if I don't make sure that everything that I was trained on, that and I pay attention when I say, you can't say a hard target, then I'm gonna get a bullet in my ass. And so that first 5 seconds, it all just flooded and hit you. So I mentioned the smell.
And it can also just rely on your all on your shoulders. If there was that mistake or that not remembering that training in an instant.
And it's not just that. I was a medic, so other people's lives were on my shoulders.
Exactly.
And that was the case many times.
That was good. All right, another one. Let's see. Let's see. I think things like our training for myself. I say just a reservist, so I was not in a combat zone like Joel and or my dad. My dad serving many years in West Germany. Pointed at the pointed east there, but like airborne school. That was just progressively. The running part was cool. We could all do that in formation. And they're like, okay, let's do the 50-foot tower, and then the 300-foot tower, and then we're getting in a plane. It was like, okay.
Yeah,
it was just.
We make fun of Marines, but we have people that jump out of planes to look at airplanes.
Well, but it wasn't the first jump, and I'm saying this. I only did that 5 times. There were guys that I went to college with that have thousands of jumps, and they're, believe me, true. They're hard as steel, and they're just amazing soldiers spending up to 30 years in the service. And the first jump was easy because you could see people snapping ankles, the pilots going all the way down, and at the end, dropping the guys, and they land in trees. And I'm just like, so the second jump, I was like, wow, this is not cool. I gotta do 4 more.
Can I tap now? I'm out. I'm done.
I got fanned in places I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So before we get to your piece, you were a Marine. So we actually got something for you too here, by the way. You want to push that other button right above the other one?
Thank you.
That's for him.
My feet.
No, it's long.
You don't have to run all the way through.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That was his idea, by the way.
That's great.
That was an idea weeks ago, by the way, for you.
Wow.
I love Tony.
That's awesome. That's
He
awesome.
also wanted to point out that you were below the U.S. Army there.
Of course, you got to put the right spot.
That just depends on where, they put the
Space Force above
icons.
the Army.
No, they actually asked me the important order of how those things went. And I said, you always got to...
That's actually
in the
not
center.
the way that they go.
Right.
It goes Army,
Yep.
then it goes Marine Corps, then Navy, and Coast Guards should be up there because they do some pretty.
They're
Up there.
They do some
1791,
pretty
I think.
cool
They're
stuff,
pretty,
but anyway.
And yeah, well, I couldn't.
And Air Force, I mean, you know, they're yeah.
Army.
I mean,
I-
Air Force. I mean, they're down there.
The only one I cared about is I said put the Army in the middle.
No.
That's all I cared.
And I don't know anything about computers, so it looks great, Joel.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty. Yeah, it's
I
pretty
paid a
fun.
contract, and actually, you know what's interesting is there was no U.S. contractors to make. I wanted to make this particular one. I had to go out of the country to have this one made. So it is what it is. So.
All right. So am I on the second one now for mine? Most memorable. The second one for me would be what I got from boot camp to be able to lead the Marines. I actually joined pretty late, and I actually turned 28 in boot camp, and the finite rule is that you cannot turn 29 in boot camp. If you graduate 29 years old and older, you cannot graduate boot camp. That is, so the recruiters don't put anybody in past 27. So I actually turned 28 in boot camp. I had my 28th birthday in boot camp. And
what did the drill sergeants get you for that?
Yeah, I didn't say anything. I didn't say a word. I did steal dessert that day. I did. I got my birthday cake that day though. Anyway, what the confidence that I was looking for in boot camp, and what I was looking to join, one of the reasons that I was looking to join for, gave me the confidence to lead Marines. To backtrack just a hair, in Clackamas Community College, I took public speaking, and let alone the public, or go up and present your report or whatever else. I thought that I gave a pretty good report, and I did a pretty good job in my class in college. Yeah, he gave me like a C-. And I thought I was pretty, poignant. I thought I was, getting myself out there. I was, talking. But, no, just my personality, it's pretty reserved. So,
Did you
getting out.
You were a Marine? Is that what it was?
Well, no, that was prior too. So going into the Marine Corps actually gave me, so I could actually stand in front of 60, 75 people and wouldn't have a problem telling any one of them what to do.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Definitely.
Right on. Let's see. I think the second memorable time for me is when I got in Article 15, because I did not follow an order. And I thought I was right, and I found out I was wrong. Whether I was right or not, I was wrong. And so that actually turned me quite heavily, and I believe it or not, I actually had trouble getting promoted before that, and it seemed like a month after I got my Article 15, I got promoted. Which is like the military way. You don't get promoted until you get in trouble at least once. It's like...
You're not a Marine until you've gotten in trouble.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another one. I guess learning for myself, whether we were at Fort Knox or Fort Devens, we all wore the same uniform, but some of us were from Biloxi and some were from Boston. And we just learned so much in such a short period of time, whether it was tattoos or, how to do this or how to do that, or talking about cars, even after the service, going to the academy and then going into law enforcement. Like I've said before, it's easy to spot the veterans. Easy. Because they carry themselves differently. That's just the fact. So, I guess that'd be my third.
It's good. It's good.
And I totally, off your coattails, I totally agree. And so, one of the last and most poignant things for me was one of our last training operations. I didn't get the chance. I gave more than just the normal force, hoping that I would be able to prove myself. But one of the most things that struck me was how well we worked together as a team, and just overall just made things happen. We were the highest agency in WTI. That's one of our major training operations in Yuma, Arizona, and the dollars they're up there, and it was almost reliant down to two of our corporals, and it was two of our corporals, like one of our lance, it was went straight to staff and a mass sergeant and the captain. We were there for 72 hours straight just to get the operations going. I realize in some other situations it may even be longer than that, but it was 72 hours straight just to get the operations just even going, let alone what we needed to do after that fact. And it's just what we need to do. It's just what we have to do. There's no blinking of an eye, there's no asking questions. It's just keep going until it's done and done right and it's working. End of story.
Good. You know what? We're going to come to Joel really fast right after our break. And actually, when we come back off of our break, there is one of us kids that were watching Backwoods Brothers, and we were talking about honoring those who are in the military and the importance of honor. And we went to, we were trying to figure out as civilians what to say to a person who's served in the military, never forget, or those types of things. And one of us kids actually said, Micah, that, man, I haven't been deployed, so it's a little bit different for me. I want you to explain that a little bit when we get back, okay? So we're going to watch really fast, I was going to say Hitching Post signs, but not really. Whitney Signs, and it's a local sign shop by Sean and his awesome wife run that amazing business. And if you are looking for a sign, they have something for you. Watch this.
Sorry, I'm trying.
It's on the left-hand side.
I know.
You can tell they're married.
I don't know.
So our commercials aren't going through today, so skip through it, guys.
So Whitney signs are amazing. You want to check them out. If you're a local Estacadian, they're right downtown on Broadway. You won't be able to miss their wonderful signs. They paint the town with their signs. I actually happen to own one of their signs, and they are really good at what they do. So make sure you get over there. You're going to see Sean's truck roll through town, and it's going to go honk, honk, and it's going to let you know, hey, he's here. So you want to check out Whitney signs for sure. Joel, let's get back to you, brother. You didn't get a chance to answer the third most memorable moment, and then we'll get to Micah.
Yeah, I could have lived without my third most memorable moment. The show really did my first, but the first time I had to partake in a fallen soldier ceremony in Afghanistan, I had to partake in 32 of those. So, and whether it was I was standing in the ceremony for and coming off, I was unloading, or I was helping prep for it, I was involved in one way or the other. Yeah, the first time was completely surreal, and there's a sense of reality that hits you even more than when you jump off the plane. Step off the plane, it's, somebody here that you're honoring, you're sending home, died for a cause that they believe in. They gave their life for something that's bigger than themselves. It could have been for the man next to them. It could have been for, for whatever it was at the time. It brings home that when people say there's a price to be paid, it's real. There's a price to be paid. Somebody's not going to see their family again, and a family's not going to see their daughter, husband, father. They're not going to see their loved one again, but they will sleep safe for that night for it. And so, and all the things that were around me at that moment, that first time, and while I was going through that ceremony, really struck home. The things from simply saluting the flag, swearing an oath, standing for the national anthem and giving honor to that, and everything. It wasn't really standing; it was just giving honor to those things meant something more to me at that point, because there was a reality of that price paid was coming to fruition then. So, but yeah, that was probably the most memorable moment. Honestly, that should have been my number one, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I was going to say something about it or not.
I'm sure there's a ton of memorable moments that we can spend the whole show on this. I'm standing up and hopefully I'm still in range here. I did that because of the squeakiness of the chair, and I want you guys to hear what the guys have to say. There it is. Can you see me? Am I there? All right.
Squeak.
There you go. I'm acting like I'm sitting down right now. Hey, so, I have never met a proud serviceman who popped out his chest and said, I'm all this stuff. You guys are all about honor and kind of almost downplaying your service. So I'm going to set that up. Micah, what's your thoughts about those who have deployed and been over, as opposed to those who have gone through boot camp and maybe not have left for deployment? What's your idea about that?
So there's a little bit of trade-off depending on what your role is stateside. But to go off of Joel's coattails, there's I even signed up twice just so that I could feel like I did something more, like I could feel like I contributed more. And when a civilian walks up and they say thank you for your service, I almost feel like a sense of just that I'm not worthy of that compliment. And one of my staff sergeants, we were together and we were off base, and I don't remember exactly where we were, but somebody said it to him, and at the point I was maybe a lance corporal or a corporal, and again, I don't remember what we were doing. I think we were we were training for Humvee driving or something like that, but and it was, there's things that we have to do for driving. We have to drive off base, and of course the only driving off base is for near base is civilian. So when we reach the end of that, we have to turn around, and again, we're like at Burger King. I don't know. Anyway, so somebody said, thank you for your service, and he said, thank you for your support. And I thought that was such a stated, it was a well-stated response, because I'm not gonna say you're welcome. I did that because I wanted to stand in front. I wanted to stand above. I was wanting to go more. I was wanting to do more. So anyway, I don't know that I did. Again, that goes back to saying thank you for your support. So.
Thank you for your support. So did the responding, did he say in response, thank you for your support?
Yes.
That's really good. Really
And
good.
that stuck with me, so that's my response from him.
Let's open it up. Me as a civilian, thank you for your service. How do you guys respond to it, my co-host?
Why? Why are you thankful? What are you thankful for? Like, not in a mean, like, oh, why are you saying this? No, it's seriously, what is it about your thank you that you're thankful for? I'd like to know, what is it that, that maybe a soldier has given a life for that you're thankful for? What is it that they're currently serving that you're thankful for? What is it? I mean, that's my response. And like I said, it can come off in the wrong way, but I really do mean it as I want to know when people are thankful for something, like, what is it specifically that they're thankful for? So I know what people are seeing as the sacrifices that were made, how they see those and how they appreciate those. So, but I do like his a lot too. Thank you for your support. It's a good way because it does feel awkward, and it took me a long time to get to the point where I asked that question, and it's a good response too. You don't have to be quick about it.
It's not off-putting to be asked why are you thanking me? So that's good. It's good.
I think it comes from people. I mean, they might be, their dad, their grandfather, or brothers or uncles that served in the service. I mean, just for example, we had the car show here in Estacada back in July, and I always say, well, absolutely, I'd love to be 22 years old again. So, I appreciate it, but I don't, dwell on it. And then I would ask them who, in their family served, and there always usually is. So there's always someone that's either a veteran or a family member of a veteran that will come up and say, thank you for your service. So to me, it was always genuine. I mean, most of the times, not just this is what we say because it's on a commercial on TV, but it's actually heartfelt.
Yeah.
Like it made a difference in my life.
Yeah, I just really encourage to see what people are thankful for because, whether it's the fact that they feel safer at night, the fact that they have the freedoms they have, and things like that, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's really cool to hear those type of things from people's perspectives.
Well, that's even engaging though too. That's not just an end all. That's like a continuing of a conversation of, okay, so why do you feel that way? And well, all right. Well, now that we have a conversation, I mean that was more heartfelt. And
exactly. So that's my thought behind it. So,
yeah.
So by the way, just for people who don't realize, it is like probably 95 degrees in here right now.
What?
Because we haven't got the air conditioning.
Yes.
Okay. So no, you can't pull that.
What?
At 29 Palms.
Oh, come on.
Oh, there it. No.
Is
Okay.
that the desert?
No.
That's the high. Oh yeah, that's the high desert. The first week that we were there, it reached. Well, I can't say for in country, but it reached 129 degrees when we first got there. So.
Yeah.
I thought 40 below in Vermont was pretty bad.
I would have taken cold weather training any day.
I remember we had this was all the way back in training. I remember we had this the barracks we had were 3 stories high, and if they felt like somebody pushed the buttons far enough, they had a thing to do. You put on all your gear, rucksack, everything, every piece of gear you own, you pack it all up, right, and then you run the stairs until the walls sweat.
Until the walls sweat. Yep.
Yeah, and we've made those walls rain a few times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, really fast, one of our sponsors, I want to go to really fast, Valerie at Hitchin Post Pizza. She's a local. She's been around Estacada area for eons, for a long time, and she has a successful business. You can
Well, her
go.
business has been around for eons. She has not been around for eons. She's a very young, awesome lady.
Well, I was gonna say that, but anyways, yes, she's a young, awesome
Things come out that way,
lady, but
Tony.
she's been around forever. Her business, and so we want to rave about
It's
her.
good.
I had to give you a hard time.
By the way, she's veteran friendly.
And it's good.
And she loves, and it's good, right, guys?
Yes.
So you can check her out. As a matter of fact, if you live in Estacada, or if you live in the surrounding areas, you want to come because this place has everything for everybody: games and pizza, and pool tables. And by next month, I'm going to be doing some music down there. So I'm excited. So make sure to check out Hitchin Post Pizza. Hey, guys.
No, he's actually going to be singing down there for
Just doing some
what?
Doing some bar music, whatever.
Oh, that was cute.
I got a tear in my beer and I'm crying for you, dear. Okay, anyways. Okay, so, hey, here it is. Here's a question. I did this for Micah. Tell me about, or tell our audience about some pranks that you might have played with some friends in the military.
He will never admit to it.
Come on.
What was the question again?
Tell us about some pranks you played. You know you played some, so come on.
The statute of limitations is not expired.
Yes. You need to come up with a new question. I'm not allowed.
You're not allowed.
You know
Thumbs down.
It was confidential information.
Producer has a
It's top
question.
secret, but
the producer has a question.
Yes.
What's the producer's question?
Somebody asked on here, how did you balance work life in the military service and your family life?
That's a great question. I want to get to that one in a second, but I do want to answer one of his original question. The name of the show is Ranger Games. Do you know where Ranger Games came from? Ranger Games is used as a term in the Army for practical jokes. And the first time I ran into Ranger Games was actually only back in basic training, where I was very naive and didn't understand all these things. And one of the sergeants came up to me and says, "Hey, I need you to go ask that drill sergeant over there to give you a form ID 10 Tango."
Oh, okay. Well, you're talking about those kind of pranks.
Those kind of pranks.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
go get the Humvee
says-
keys.
He says, yes. He says, make
No,
sure.
that's all you needed to lead into.
There you go.
But Ranger Games, that's what the name comes from.
Yep, that's where it comes from, and that's why I asked the question right there. So yes, keep.
There was lots of those. ID 10 Tango, he told me to write it on my hand,
Yeah.
so I didn't forget. And as soon as I wrote it on my hand, I knew.
What's the math? Or going up to? Asking the. For us, it's asking one of the higher ups, but you go in and you address it by their rank. And you say that I need to find this, and you address it by the rank. I can't remember it right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the same lines as IDD 10. It's on the same exact lines. But anyway, whatever.
Jim, care to reveal anything still?
no, I'm good.
All right.
No, I'm good.
All right. He says, no, I'm good. Let's go to that.
Well, he's also brass. He's also brass.
Gotcha.
That's different.
His practical jokes probably really still are still within the statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, it's been
Let's go to the viewer's question about balancing work and personal life. That's a really good question.
in the service.
In the service.
I was single.
Ah.
Next.
Yeah, there's no balancing it. There's hoping that you're making it. For Marines, the end all, it's more prominent, and the statistics are awfully higher on the other end than they are for staying a family.
Mm.
The first 2 years where I was not married, I was National Guard, so I was home. I wasn't active duty. So the first 2 years I was home and I just by myself and did my own things. I met Brandy, and then we went out to Vegas, and so it was a couple of years just drilling in Vegas, doing our things. I think she kind of enjoyed when I got pulled away for a weekend. Time to herself. Yeah, leaf. No, and then the year and a half. You gotta love having her on the other end of those buttons.
Yes.
And
Well,
then
those buttons work though.
the year and a half I was deployed. That was pretty hard, but I think we were already pretty strong and being used to having some separation and things. We got used to it. And so it wasn't easy, and I know, of course, I can imagine what it's like for Brandy. She was back home, not knowing. I mean, I was lucky enough, I was in a position where I had the option almost every day to call her. And so she got that, where there's guys that may not have got that option except for maybe once a week or something or less.
Yeah, depending on your MOS and your job.
Yeah, and it's,
Busy.
My main job in Afghanistan was I was a medic, but I was also the medical liaison. Primary station was on Bagram, but there's times that I'd have to travel and go from one station to the next, and then she wouldn't hear from me probably for that week or two. I think it was a 2-week period. She didn't hear from me because that's what I told her. I'm going to be gone for a week or two, traveling between bases. But my job was very resourceful at the time, and I had a lot of access to be able to have a card to call her for 15 minutes every night and things like that. And sometimes she would miss my call, and we got to talk to her, and I know she hated that. She always felt really bad, she said. But yeah, it's just it was what it is, and we got through it, came back, and I finished out, I think, a year or so when I got back and stuff.
Well, off your coattails, you said that you were single before and then you met Brandy. Mine was the exact opposite. So we had been together for almost 4 or 5 years at that point. And again, yes, back to adolescence and grade school. Boot camp was awful. Boot camp was horrendous for me because I had such an attachment that I just, doing that at a younger age would have been a little bit easier than doing it and when you've had that entire time to just fellowship and relate, and then you're gone for 3 months and then another 4 months, because for the Marine Corps it's almost 4.5 months that you're gone, so it's almost a deployment, and that's in initial training.
Wait, you say 4.5 months of the deployment?
No, but I said it was
the
like
airport.
I said it was like
cycle every 6 months. Oh man, it was our deployments normally were a year,
But then again, I was coming from civilian, going into that. So that's what I was trying to hint at.
I know, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You raise a really good point, though, Micah, because your other two comrades, they were single, and then they, their relationships took root there. You came in and you were already involved in a relationship, so it sounds like it was a different story for you.
I do remember going to some
100%.
formal dinners, and we'd go in the line and meet the battalion commander, and he asked me if I was married. He didn't ask me where I was from or. I'm looking.
Well,
I'm looking at the.
Yeah, you're brass though too.
I'm looking at the 7 rows all the way to his shoulder, and
that started off
cool,
because he wanted to incorporate the family right away.
And he's like, "Oh, you're single? Okay, keep going. Here's my wife. Keep going."
Well, it's different for brass though, because the spouse is a part of it.
Absolutely.
They also when you are well, at least for the Marine Corps, I'm assuming it may be similar for the other branches, but to a certain extent for the Marine Corps, when you're brass, the wife is almost she's almost as enlisted as well.
Yeah.
But then when you get up to a certain rank enlisted, they are also
E78.
E6.
E6. Okay.
Let's take this a little bit further, you guys. We have a little bit more time, and actually, our producer had a good idea. even though she didn't voice it. It's a really good idea. So, we value the viewers, you, and you may have questions. So I want you to fire these questions away, and maybe like at near getting close to the end of our show, which is coming up upon us, maybe we can pick some of those questions to ask. So viewer, very good question to ask about balancing work and civilian life as well, okay? So the last question, you ready? So you guys, Jim, you touched on it, the pact, correct? So let me explain to our viewers what the pact is. The pact
That's
act.
just staff,
Yep.
signed by the president.
Yep. So here's a little bit more of that. The PACT Act is a historic new law that will help VA veterans,
Burn barrels.
deliver for millions of veterans and their survivors by empowering us to presumptively provide care and benefits to vets suffering from more than 20 toxic exposure-related conditions. It will also bring generations of veterans into VA healthcare, which will improve veteran health outcomes across the board. What do you think?
I think it's awesome because it's basically Persian Gulf to present day. Mm-hmm. The amount of research, like I've said before on the show, that the VA and other organizations have done on just the Vietnam era soldiers and airmen and Marines is tremendous. And they've gotten a lot accomplished every year in regards to those presumptive conditions. And even the Navy personnel that were sitting off the coast ready to rock and roll, they got their own lawsuit and they have their own benefits based on their service. So now fast forward to early 1990, we're Desert Shield, and then all the way up to Iraq, Afghanistan, and even a little Ukraine, maybe Soviet Union here, So it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
It is. There's a lot of help out there too.
The
a lot of
guys,
organizations help
when we had guys that were over there, we made sure everyone that was anywhere near a burn pit or things like that, whether it was burning the latrines, because that's what you do. And when you're on like a competent, you take a crap in a you don't dump it in a hole. It goes into a bucket, and you take that bucket and you throw some diesel and some oil, and you light it on fire, and you burn the crap.
It's not toxic at all.
No, but so any of those type of things, the burn pits they had, if you were anywhere near the big ones and Bagram, where they're burning bodies and things like that too and stuff, and vehicles, they burn whole Humvees and things over there. Anybody who was anywhere near those, we made sure anyone in our unit got a letter identifying that. So if one day they actually offered something, then that would be ready for it. So but
RA in history.
Yeah, I have to say, after they got it through Congress, and after the Democratic Party pulled their stupid crap out of there and let it just be about the veterans and didn't try to put all that extra junk in there, $400 billion of crap. Once they got that out of there and they let it just be about the veterans, then I have to say this is one thing that Biden did fuck up. He signed it and let his hands off of it. That's the first thing I've seen him do right since he got in office. Get that through.
So,
Micah, any ideas?
You just found out about this 5
I don't know,
yeah.
you can say it's news to me,
Not to go back to Hollywood or anything like that, but the movie, which one is it?
Black Hawk Down?
No, the one before that. No, it's
that's way far back.
No, it's the one before that, where the kid that was one of the Spider-Mans, wasn't he?
Oh, you're talking about the lone shooter or
Lone Survivor?
It was back before. Anyway, it went through his situation, or it kind of went through
the 4th of July.
No,
I'm sorry.
That was, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
No, it was near the.
You talk about the medic that was on?
I think so. Anyway,
okay, yeah.
He had, at one point, he had a collateral duty, and he just got told to do something, and he just went and did it. And you could see, how they were trying to, theatrically, they were trying to have him depict how he would have felt going through that situation of just nastiness. And that's what kind of strikes me, being it that I was nowhere near any of that, so I can't speak to it specifically or wholeheartedly or anything, but just that theatrical, and I can, being a part of the military and the Marine Corps, knowing what I was told to do and knowing what I had to tell my Marines to do, in that situation, he would have been just do a job. Go do it. Go get it done. And he did it. Regardless of, it was a shitty situation, and no pun intended, but, and it may have affected him for the rest of his life, but he didn't know it at that moment.
Right.
He just went and did what he needed to do, what he was told to do, and it was going to help overall. It was going to, it was a job that was going to get something taken care of. It was a job that was going to, it had an end to a meaning. Anyway. Means, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Hey, producer, do we have one viewer question?
Let me see here.
Does the producer have a question?
I'm looking. A lot of people saying that they really like the show. They don't want it to end. And then there was one here. Hold on. I'm trying to find it. Okay, I got one. How would you explain to a civilian the bond that you guys share through your service?
You can't.
Yeah.
There's not a way to explain that.
No, none whatsoever.
I mean, I still keep in contact with people from age 18 and throughout my service career, but it's on definitely a different level, for sure.
And it's the thing is too, it's like, it's not just people you went through that with.
Right.
It's, you could run into another veteran anywhere else and you have something to
Instantly you have that bond.
Right.
Exactly.
I know there's another volunteer, or ECS volunteer portion of this already, but I participate in a volunteer situation, and it is it's a situation that has to be a family overall. I mean, this is the best way that I can explain it. This is after the fact of the military, and this would be a civilian sector, volunteering in a civilian aspect, that the thing that's going to make or break the entire situation doesn't care. It doesn't look at anything. It is completely inert. It is just going to do what it does, and it is going to decimate. And the volunteers, the paid individuals, have to do what they need to do, and they need to stick together. And there is that bond that if, regardless of what is happening, you're going to go to the nth degree to help out and make sure the job is done and get everybody where they need to be at the end of the night.
That was a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
Actually saying what it is.
No middle.
There's a really good one that just came in if you guys want the last one.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Was there any devastating moments during your service when you feel really bad but didn't know what to do or how to fix it? You had to, maybe something you had to do or saw that made you feel really bad but didn't know what to do.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, I had to get up at 0400 today.
On a daily basis. I had leading.
Where's the sun?
Leading Marines. In my. I don't mean to step in front here and take anybody's thunder, but just step out in front of Marines and and
Well,
leading them and talking to them
are in
and
front, so I mean that's how we move forward, right?
And just taught and just me individually of why I joined the Marine Corps, and then stepping out in front of the Marines and leading them and talking to them and trying to mentor them and off the outside of the norm and taking them off to the side and talking to them one-on-one and just individually. No, there's
I was a medic, and our job as a medic is to train combat lifesavers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a crappy job because one of the things that they do is combat lifesavers are trained to give IVs. And we don't have fake arms to give IVs in.
Right.
So when a combat lifesaver wants to come practice giving IVs, guess what your job is?
Pain cushion right away.
Oh, I remember the first time I ever had someone do it. He was rushing and he wouldn't listen to me, or the sergeant standing next to him to slow down, and he put the needle in, missed the vein. Before you tell him, hey, you missed the vein, he started advancing the catheter. Oh, that hurt. that was his pain on another
Like a
level.
pinata, right?
Yeah, and so then he had to take me 3 more times before they finally got it. But yeah, so that was one thing. There's other stuff I had to do. I don't really want to talk about Afghanistan base that has sucked. But yeah, there was we'll look at that one. Yeah, so.
It's just a different mentality of the volunteers that go and sign up for this, whether officer or enlisted, and it's just.
I have to agree. There's definitely a different mentality in officers.
Not where I was going with that,
That's
but
okay.
I was meaning where I was going.
Okay, it's very good,
I was saying togetherness. That the possibly a generational gap may not see that there is just a job to do. You're going to step out. You may be stepping out in front of a bullet to save your fellow man to your left and right.
It's, like the guys that dive on the Marines, it's not about, and it really say it and you don't really understand it until you're there, but it's not about when you're in that moment. It's nothing to do with all the other stuff that's going on back home and all the other purposes and everything else and all the other things that you get pride behind and everything. None about that. It's literally about the guy here, and the guy that's got your back. That's what it's about, because you depend on them and they depend on you, so you do your job, because if you don't, they might pay the price.
Somebody's gonna get hurt.
And then just to elaborate on what Micah said, you fight in a tank, and there's 4 positions. You learn all 4 positions. You learn how to drive, you learn how to shoot, you learn how to load,
Yep.
you learn how to get up and talk and get a sunburn from the 50 cal. I mean, it's what it is. You have to do everyone else's job, period. Whether it was all of us in officer training, or we did, a lot of times I took my BDU top off in the motor pool and just walked around. Nobody knew who I was. It doesn't matter.
And in an instant,
We're just all doing what we have to do. Get the big wrench, do this doesn't work. Do you have your shovel in this M60? No, well, there's one over there if you want to get that one, put it here. Just...
in an instant, a PFC is going to be a leader.
That's right.
Rank only matters when it matters. Everything else, you're still on the same level. When a bullet's flying, or the rockets or the mortars are coming in, the rank don't give 2 flying craps. You do your job, or you look out for the guy next to you. So, that doesn't matter if that colonel was standing up in an area and you see a mortar coming in, he's not in the same spot, you rip his ass to the ground. You get him in that cover. It doesn't matter. The same way, vice versa. When you did you guys in officer training, did you have to go through and read through grenades and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so when you read through the grenade during officer training, it didn't matter that you were
Read through?
Well, I'm saying because in basic, I guess your basic was officer training, wasn't it?
It was Armor Basic, yeah.
Yeah. So you were enlisted first, weren't you?
Well, in college, yeah.
I was just asking about terminology.
Right.
Right through?
Because
I threw.
Yeah, well, like this. April might get
Yeah, I threw. Why are you saying right through? I was saying like, wait, is that a secondary or what are we doing here?
When you were doing additional training for officer, I was wondering. I thought you may have gone through basic and then went to an officer school later.
No.
So
No, there you go.
A lot of guys joined the Guard in Vermont, so they were
There's many different ways to go.
E3, maybe E4, once they got a commission.
Misa?
Amazing gentlemen. We need an after show just to get into what you were just talking about. I better land the plane a little bit,
After
but
party?
this is an after party, an after show. And guys, someone said, one of the viewers said that they didn't want this to end, and it doesn't have to. You tune in next week, and we might need to do an after show a little bit to even get a glimpse of what these guys are talking about. As a matter of fact, the funny thing is, Joel, if you notice on one of the questions, he said, you know what, I don't want to go into certain things on this question, that this question might get or administer. I can't even talk, you guys. They might not be able to answer some of those questions. So if you ask a veteran a question and they're not able to answer it, don't get offended by it at all. It's might be something that they can't talk about in the moment. But if you stick around and watch the show, things might come out that you've never heard before. And that's the power of the show. And so, guys, I'm getting tongue-tied. I better get to bed here. But before I do that, Joel, bro, could you give the last sponsor a shout-out? And then also, Jim, you have the last word with American Legion.
So last sponsor we have here is Fiverr. Fiverr is a great sponsor for us. They give us a chance to allow you guys to come on and find all sorts of great contractors, like the one that built this wonderful frame and all the other stuff you see for our shows. Check them out, but be sure to visit fiverr.backwoodsbrothers.com. That is where you can find out more. I forgot our commercials aren't working, but fiverr.backwoodsbrothers.com. It helps support the show. This doesn't come free, and it costs money to put these shows on and get wonderful people here. We buy a drink occasionally here and there. So, you get a soda somewhere for you. I think it's over there. Anyways, but it costs money. So fiverr.backwoodsbrothers.com. Go there. They do all sorts of digital stuff. You can have a ghostwriting of a book. You can have things drawn up. You can have pretty much anything digital related, even websites or repair your computers for you. Fiverr.com is fiverr.backwoodsbrothers.com. On to you, Jim.
Okay. Again, we're here in Estacada, post 74. We do a lot of good things here in town, whether it be just for veterans or the community car shows. We have veteran service officers for soldiers, airmen, everybody that needs help with the VA. So if you're willing to join, we pay the first year membership free. We have breakfast, Memorial Day, and Veterans Day. We place flags at all 9 of the cemeteries here in Estacada on Memorial Day. So give a shout out and join the American Legion.
Yeah.
We appreciate your support.
And also, one more thing, we like firefighters too. So, Micah, could you put out a shout out to what you're involved in our community?
Tried so hard not to say it earlier.
Well, we're not supposed to say it. Okay, that would be the wrap up of today's show.
Again, it turns into the thank you for your support. It wasn't a thing that I was trying to put out there. It was just a thing I was trying to describe earlier. I guess again it would kind of go back to earlier stuff of just trying to say I don't want that recognition. That's not why I'm trying for any of it.
One thing we know about military and those who are in the military is they don't just serve on the field, but they serve off the field. There's a lifetime of service that goes out from a heart of a person who's involved in the military. So if you know someone who is, give them a high five or a shout out, or maybe just give them a head nod, because maybe they don't want that. Maybe it's just easy just to say, I respect what you do. in silence, okay? Also, as we always say, 988 is for veterans as well as for you if you find yourself in a crisis. PTSD, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, you find yourself in a crisis, don't go through it alone. You have support always. And this is from the mental health side of my side as well. So you always have support, veteran. You don't have to go at this alone. You're
Links in the description.
And there is down in the description. It's a new number now, 988. There's no shame. They will keep all your information concealed in between you two, okay? So as always, you're loved. Next week, we're gonna get some air conditioning in this place. But I'm very glad you're here to join us, okay? All right.